So how'd your Christmas wish list come out? Come out pretty good?
Yeah, I ended up getting more shelving, which was my, which is my big thing.
Jackpot.
Yeah, you know, it's like really basic shelving, like, you know, something you get at a normal furniture store, but it's cleared up a bunch of my books from, like, being stored in a plastic tub, so I really can't argue.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I managed to get some miniatures, and like every box I got of miniatures had a problem with it. Either I got the blue dragon for D&D, and I had to file the clear stick thing almost in half to get it to fit right. So I was kind of irritated with that. Yeah, and then I got the elven druid missing his left arm, and I got the gnome, the female gnome wizard or whatever, and she was missing her left arm as well. So, and then I found out you have to mail it back in to WizKids, and then they don't even send you the same one back. They send you one of the same the same rarity level. So I'm gonna end up with like the same crap that I already have. I'll probably get two of the halfling bards or whatever, which I already have two of those anyway. So I'm just a little irritated about that right now, but oh well.
What? That's a really bad policy from WizKid, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. I think if I provide a video or a photograph, that should be enough. And here's the funny thing, right? So I had to do all the stuff online for it. I did it on Sunday. And you get 3 weeks. If they don't get your miniatures within 3 weeks, they won't replace it.
That's a really random number.
Yeah, I know.
It's like arbitrarily, 21 days.
Yep, and I have to print off the paper that is the document stating that, hey, these are the ones I said that were messed up online. So I have to put that in the box that I mail to them with the miniatures that they can see which two miniatures are messed up. So I don't know. I don't understand how it works exactly. And here's another thing. I still don't know what the address is I have to mail it to. I sent an email to customer support on Sunday night, and I still do not know what the address is that I have to mail it to. Because I'm not going to just go and say, hey, what's WizKids' address? You know what I mean? They might have a separate address that I have to send it to. So, I don't know. I'm actually going to check right now to see if I got the address from them yet. And no, they have not told me. They have not replied back yet. So, yeah. Yeah, that's irritating.
Those that entire line of miniatures using all those flight stands, like those clear rods, I think was a bad idea.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand why they couldn't have done it like before, where it's already in it. You know?
Oh, right. Like it comes like glued or however they adhese it together.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, okay, yeah, I understand things broke. Well, they obviously sorted out their packaging issues. Don't make things super tight in there, but don't make them super loose either. You know, like there's a medium ground you need to find, and reinforce the cardboard on the outside, and it won't get squashed. I feel like that should be enough. I don't know. Like I said, I got two miniatures that were completely missing left arms. It's like there's no quality control before they put things in the box. So that was the part that was irritating.
It's really weird too. Like I got the Tiamat miniature, and it's a gigantic base. It's supposed to be a gigantic monster, but when you compare it to like the old miniatures that were gigantic, it's actually really small. And I think it's because they're doing it in flight. They couldn't put more weight on the stupid clear rod.
Which other ones do you have that are gargantuan?
Of like the really older ones, I have like one of the dragons from 4E.
Was it like the big red dragon, or?
It's a blue dragon.
Huh.
And there's what the hell is the other one? It's an aspect of Orcus.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's the new ones look that big. Even the Bahamut one doesn't look that big compared to like the gargantuan red dragon or any of the other ones. You know, those other ones did look a lot bigger.
The red dragon, yeah, was huge.
Yeah.
That something like that's what I think of when I think of gargantuan, but I mean I don't know. The price is still the same. Where's
Right.
the rest of the plastic? Damn it!
It's in the next Tiamat they made.
Oh yeah, you got me there.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It still looks cool though, the Tiamat one. I guess I've seen the ones that are on the ground as opposed to flying, the older ones. I almost think those look better.
Yeah,
Like
they kind
they
of
should
do.
use this paint scheme, do it on the ground again, kind of like the older one, but then make it bigger so it almost resembles the cover of Rise of Tiamat.
Oh man,
Have
yeah,
you
like
seen?
comparing some of the old chromatic drakes to the new ones. The old ones do look better.
Yeah, yeah. There's something about the flying I'm not really a fan of. I think. I mean, I like some of them. Like, I got the bronze dragon, I got the blue dragon. Both of those are awesome. In fact, I like the blue one more, but the wingspan kind of I don't know about. Because it's like straight back. I'm almost thinking about heating it up so I can make them go out a little bit. Um, but I like those a lot, and I can't wait to use them. And then I got two stone giants and a storm giant. So yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna have to throw some giants at my players, but
Yeah.
they'll like that. And then dragons, and yeah, they'll have a cow.
Art, map making, world building, game theory, one-shots, races, cartography, coding, chaos, Himanoki. From the College of Lore, it's the Bard with no boundaries. Subscribe today. Himanoki.
So what's going on with Made the RPG?
Oh geez, it got ended up getting delayed. Um, I guess I got the time wrong on it. I don't know what's going on. I still can't find in the event where it was listed as 8:30 instead of 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
But I showed up late, and I guess some of the other people playing in it were having issues getting their stuff ready. So Chepe, aka Fontrodden over there on YouTube, ended up pushing it back to Friday, which ends up being the same time as your Heroes Unlimited games. Now it's pushed back once again.
Oh, jeez.
I think to Saturday is when he's trying to do it, but I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, because we're gonna start that Heroes Unlimited Supers registration game on Friday. I think that'll be a lot of fun, though. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
I think it'll be awesome. It'll be interesting to see how, as far as like power goes, because in Heroes Unlimited you can have like such a wide range of different powered characters.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see where Mitchell places.
Well, when I shot down his having giant, like, plasma beam rift style cannons on his 7-foot frame hips, he kind of had a little fit, and I was like, look, you told me your theme. That clearly states it has to be on a large robotic creature. On the page before that, it has laser rifles that can come out of your hips that, while they're not 10d6 times 1,000 or whatever, they're still like 3d6 laser rifles out of your hips. I mean, that's still pretty darn good. So, yeah, he had a little bit of a fit and got mad, and I was like, hey, if you want to play a game like what your character was kind of going to do, you're in the wrong game. But I'll be honest, I kind of warned a lot of you guys who have equipment about this. I don't know how long your equipment's going to be useful in this campaign. I'm just saying. I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but,
Hey, there you go. I mean, I took that into account when I made my guy. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted to. That's one of the reasons I went with Bionic. Is
Right.
I want him to have superhero powers, but I want there to be some kind of skill set beneath the powers.
Right.
So my guy's like a sharpshooter. So if you take away his bionic capabilities, he becomes like a normal Joe, but he's still a guy that's a marksman and
Right.
has that background. So it's kind of entertaining to me.
Well, Mitchell Grubb's character is the only person in the world that can fly his suit, he told me. Which is not going to be the case. I'm just saying right now, his character is not that smart.
Well, his character had an IQ that was like 60 above Stephen Hawking, so...
Yeah, I mean, he can think that. That's fine. Maybe above his clearance level, which, you know, could... I mean, in this whole conspiracy theory kind of world, I guess, there might be security levels above him that know a lot more than him. So his character can think he's the only one, and I'm fine with that.
His problem was he was like, I want to make a character that's like Iron Man, but his character is so much more powerful than Iron Man's that Iron Man is like Mitchell.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah, because that's really the truth of it. He was like, I'm going to take this guy and make him better than Iron Man. It's like, okay, you can try that. Hope your suit doesn't blow up, because you will not be able to get another one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make it sound like I'm railing on his character. I'm not. I actually am fine with this character. I just hope that he has realistic expectations going into that game and doesn't get upset when things don't go his way. That's all, because this game, in case people out there aren't sure what the heck I'm talking about, I'm running a Heroes Unlimited campaign out of an old Rifter. Not going to say which one or anything like that, because I don't want certain players to read up on it and know how to handle certain things. But in that campaign, things do not go the player's way very early on. And so, depending on the type of characters, if you have characters that rely on equipment, either they might spend the whole campaign without equipment, or unable to use their equipment, or all sorts of things can happen depending on what happens in the game. So, yeah, and I think I did a good job preparing my players without giving away what happens. When it happens, how it happens, things like that. But and I did warn them, certain things. I mean, they're in a big city. They're in Chicago, so guns are illegal in Chicago. I mean, there are certain things to take into account. So yeah. And just like the Marvel universe and things like that, people know that there are other people out there with superpowers, and so there's a debate on whether anyone who has superpowers should be registered or not. So that's kind of the deal of the campaign. It's a pretty good one, though. So I'm excited about it. It's something I've wanted to run for 4 or 5 years now, and finally get the chance. So I'm excited. So yeah, you're playing in Made the RPG. What other games do you have coming up that you're playing in offhand?
Oh, let's see. We got on Thursday here the Diceless Dungeons and Dragons experiment game.
Oh, on New Year's Day?
Yeah, New Year's Day. Yep. The night of New Year's Day, but not New Year's Eve. Don't get too confused.
Do you want to tell our listeners about that? Because I saw it kind of come up when you first mentioned part of it, and Posey had an idea. Maybe you can elaborate on your guys' test game.
Oh, so the concept for this evolved out of a thread on the one-shot group where we were talking about feats. For some reason or another, we got sidetracked into talking about dice, which happens quite a lot. And we've been playing some diceless games or near diceless games. So I had made like a joke comment at Posey, like, "Oh, we'll just play D&D without dice," and he was like, we'll play it round robin style, make the event. And I was like, oh, okay, damn, let's do it. I don't care. So I chose an obscure setting, the city of Lorcon, the city of adventure, which is an old AD&D setting. We're gonna do it complete round robin style, so there's no true dungeon master. Every player gets assigned another player as their DM, and we take turns going through basically out of combat initiative, where every player can still act and participate in the role play and whatnot, but one character is showcased during their turn, and whatever needs to be adjudicated falls on the designated player. After they accomplish some kind of major action, you rotate down to the next place on the list. When everybody's had to turn on the initiative, it goes back to the top and resets. Basically, it's D&D still because we're using D&D spells, D&D feats, D&D classes, and class features, but instead of rolling dice to decide success, the GM is going to decide the success just based on what their character took and how well they RP the situation.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea how it's going to go. It's like a crazy group of people playing it too. We have like your classic thespians and your more combined like middle of the road between narrative and game style player. So it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, I will be very curious to hear your thoughts on the next podcast about how that game went. And I'm sure a lot of other people will be curious about it as well.
It's gonna be interesting too because Lorcon, I don't know if a lot of the people watching this will be familiar with the setting. It's a high crimes kind of setting in a way. Like the city has a really big wealth differential, so there's a lot of opportunities for like thieving and mercenary type of gameplay. So this game we're gonna be doing it as a heist game. We're a bunch of poorly aligned like street urchins, thieves, sellswords. Forming together for one big heist.
Nice. Ocean's 11.
Yeah, it's like Ocean's 11 halved.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure. Yeah, I'm not playing in any one-shots coming up or running any. I'll be honest, I kind of like looking at my schedule and saying, oh man, I don't have to do anything if I really don't want to. I mean, I have a couple coming up. I have AJ Pickett's Super World, I think Sunday, January 11th, which I need to make sure that doesn't conflict with my Provokers campaign, which I think it won't because I think we were waiting on the Provokers until late January, but I'm going to have to double check that. But yeah, I think that's the only game I have coming up to plan. And then obviously I'm running the Heroes Unlimited game, like I said, but that's more of a campaign. Yeah, so it's kind of nice. I'll admit, kind of nice.
You got one other Palladium game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right. How come that's not on the events page? Where is that at?
It wasn't. I created the event outside of the one-shot group.
What date is that?
Show up on the event page.
Yeah,
next Tuesday.
Isn't it called Pigs or something?
Yeah, War Pigs.
Next Tuesday, so that would be the 6th. Yeah, so I do have that, which I haven't even looked at my character yet that Ted made me. Sorry, Ted. I told Ted a while back, he's like, oh, you mind if I make your character for you? I was like, please do. And then he's like, later on that day, he's like, so, do you have a chance to look at it? And I said, no, not yet. I'll look at it tomorrow. And that was like a month ago.
Yeah, he was really into it. The way that it all came about was I had said something to Dave, like, I'm cooking a Teenage Mutant and Ninja Turtles game, and he goes, oh, awesome. And he goes and he tells Ted about it, and then he comes back and he goes, you gonna create that event? I think Ted's ready to have his one-shot group cherry popped. And I was like, fuck yeah, I just got the book. We're gonna do it.
That's awesome.
So it's my plans for that game too. Like I was kind of crowdsourcing what was gonna happen in it. Like doing the polls and stuff on the page.
Yeah.
It looks like the way I'm gonna do it is like you guys are going to start out like roughly knowing each other, having contact in the past, kind of like some kind of loose organization of heroes that comes together to fight some sort of criminal enterprise.
Right.
It's going to be it's going to be urban based. It's going to have like a Ninja Turtles feel to it, and your guys are going to be fighting a crime syndicate known as the War Pigs, who may or may not have members that are anthropomorphic as well, being half human, half pig.
I like it. See, I thought it would have been fun to get like 4 or 5, 6 people to play as the Ninja Turtles. I thought that would have been awesome. But once everyone else was like, oh, I want to make a character like this, I was like, aw, man, I can't be a Ninja Turtle now.
That would be really funny if you did, like, hijack the glory.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Not only that, but I'd be at a higher level starting out, and then I'd just be a badass because I'd be a Ninja Turtle.
Hey guys, don't worry about it. I know some guys. I'm just gonna call in the rest of the turtles. We'll go handle this.
Yeah, dude, I got a freaking van that shoots pizza discs out of it. I got action figures made after me. Dude, I'm a celebrity. It's okay. I can travel in time to Japan in like the samurai times.
Yeah, you sport that kabuki, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fun. I'm going to make sure it really encapsulates what I call 80s and 90s moments.
So here's the question for you: is it going to capture the comic book Ninja Turtles or cartoon movie Ninja Turtles? Because the comic book was pretty dark, from what I've heard.
It's going to be closer to the comic book, but not completely true to it.
Okay.
Like it's going to be dark. The whole idea of the War Pigs is that they're trying to control the drug and sex trade. So not something you'd like throw on the cartoon show. Right. However, that said, there'll be plenty of cheesy moments in it that are reminiscent of the movies and the cartoons. So
awesome.
Best of both worlds.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, and before we go any further, I just want to say, this is totally not related to anything on our podcast, but I am extremely excited as a Michigan fan that I got the coach that I wanted. I wanted him back in 2011, and I was saying halfway through this year I was hoping he'd come, and everyone said, no, he won't. Well, we got the coach I wanted, so I'm excited. That's it. Won't talk about sports anymore. I'm really happy. If you want to check out my sports channel, I have a YouTube sports channel, Sports Talk with Lee. You can find it over on YouTube if you guys are interested. Which I did do a video about it because I was that excited today. So that's all, though. Nice. Like I said. But yeah, so I'm on the One Shot Group page right now, and looks like we have quite a few games coming up in the next, I'd say, week and a half, 2 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games between now and the 12th of January.
Yeah, so, plus 2 more because I have 2 games that aren't on the list.
But
our one-shot group. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I know Alex Gillette. Some of you guys know him as, what is he, Captain Gothnog on YouTube. Owner of Critical Hits Publishing and Theater of the Mind magazine. He recently was asking about running or playing a game in the One Shot Group. Matt Click, also known as A Fistful of Dice on YouTube. I know he came on like a few weeks back. We ended up playing a couple games with him, and I think we are going to play another game with him in the future through the One Shot Group. Today, I had a conversation with Kirk from PhD&D, and he wants to run and play in some games here in the next few months, he said, in the One Shot Group. And he actually has been recruiting people, like just telling people, hey, go check out the One Shot Group. They play in a lot of games. So, yeah, go check out his YouTube channel. Obviously, AJ Pickett, who is an admin on the DM's Craft forums, a huge supporter of the One Shot Group. He runs and plays in all sorts of games through the One Shot Group. And then the guys from Nerdarchy have given us a lot of support as well. So just had to get that out there. And they've run in games through the One Shot Group and played in some games too. So all sorts of people, I guess, are running and playing in games on the one-shot group, and you basically have a chance to play with a lot of the people you watch on YouTube now. So why not join the one-shot group if you aren't part of it, right? So just my thought. And then obviously me and, SR2joker here are in the one-shot group.
Saving the best for last, obviously.
Of course. You. But yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, man, if I would have tried to do this 2 years ago, I feel like it would have had like 8 people, and it would have died off within a couple weeks. And no, I mean it's really picked up some steam. A lot of guys are running games. Ian has been huge in running games and playing games and talking about the one-shot group. Philip Posey, Robert Ogre, just so, I mean, I'm going to leave people out, so I'm just not even going to try to hit everybody. But
oh, yeah, get Fauntrodden up in there.
Right, Fauntrodden, I mean, so many people have been really supportive of the group. And, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but it's been awesome to see this group grow to over 750 members in just a few short months. So, and like I said, that's a ton of games that are going to be played in the next 2 weeks. So, 17 games in 2 weeks. It's amazing. So, and you can play in all of them. So, but yeah. So I think that about covers everything with the one-shot group. I mean, unless there's something you want to say about it.
Nope. That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just give a brief rundown of what it looks like the games are. Genesis, I don't know what that is. That's, I guess, with Alex Gillette and Ian. Let's see. I know there's a couple 5th edition D&D games, Heroes Unlimited, TMNT, Pathfinder's going to be played, GURPS, quite a few 5e games. Looks like another Palladium Books game, possibly, Phase Rip. Yeah, Phase Rip RPG.
Lonkmar City of Adventure.
Yeah, I don't even know what some of this stuff is, but you know what? A lot of people are looking for games. I know as of like 2 weeks ago, people were saying, oh, nobody's running or playing Pathfinder. And so I went and every thread in the last month and a half that was about Pathfinder, I tagged the person who said that, and I put them in all of them. And I think that's how this Pathfinder game has come to be. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I know there's more than 6 people who were looking for a Pathfinder game. So if you're into Pathfinder and you're willing to run it, you got more than enough players here that want to just at least try it one time. But yeah, every game you can think of. So, and Shadowrun has been talked about lately. I don't know. I don't think there's currently a game set up for it, but I know that people have been talking about playing it. So, get in on that. Eclipse Phase. Didn't you play Eclipse Phase recently?
Yes, I did.
So how did that go? I've never played it. I have the PDF. Obviously, it's a free game. The publishers have made it known that you can get it for free. I have seen somebody make a character for it in person, and it seemed like a lot. Kind of pushed me away from it, to be honest. Because I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll make a character and play. And then I was like, I don't like PDFs, so it was kind of a pain in the butt. And I said, I'll just stay out of it. But go ahead, tell us about it.
It's got more crunch than Palladium. Which is not a good thing. It's a very, very combat, mechanic heavy game, especially for combat and hacking and doing the stuff with your morphs. The setting is amazing, almost perfect in my opinion for sci-fi.
Okay.
It takes a lot of the other great tropes from sci-fi, like stuff you'd find in Asimov or Heinlein, even more current type of stuff like Star Trek, Mass Effect, Babylon 5, and kind of meshes it up with some of the weirder transhuman stuff. I don't know if anybody watching's familiar with some of the game fiction that's been done, like Eve Online, where you have immortal pilots, basically gods battling out in space. When they die, they're reincarnated, pulled out of a computer, basically, where their consciousness is stored, put into a new body, and sent back to the war.
So it's like Battlestar Galactica on the robot side.
Yeah, very much so, but the extra aspect to it that makes it more like Eve, I think, is that there's hyper corporations that are controlling it like nation states.
Mm-hmm.
You basically have a futuresque scenario where corporations have taken over. It'd be like today if Walmart had more power than Nigeria, which arguably maybe they do. I don't know.
They might.
Well, think of it think of a army of Walmart employees going to war with a country.
Yeah.
Now give them space guns and ships. Hey, we're at Eclipse Phase. No.
Wow.
It's docketed as a sci-fi horror. I'm not buying the horror aspect, personally, from what I've seen. Obviously, we've had this talk with Ian and those guys that we played with. It's a really open-ended game. It's almost like they're giving you that canopy and saying, do whatever you want with it. But the problem with that is that they don't develop the mechanics really strongly in any one direction. The mechanics are left kind of broad as well. So when they call it a horror game, it's like, well, what mechanics actually make it a horror game? There's some kind of bastardized insanity mechanic, I think, from what I read.
Really?
Yeah, from where when you switch bodies, your current body gets killed and you get reloaded into another body.
Oh, so it's traumatizing or something.
Yeah, it can be traumatizing depending on how you end up doing the series of roles, and you can take on psychological scars, basically.
I don't think I'd want to even use that rule.
So the whole idea behind it is you remember your own death. When they pull the chip out of the back of your corpse and stick it in the new one, your first moment is you suffering your own death or some shit like that.
Oh.
So it gets crazy. That's not what I liked about it. I liked playing it like Shadowrun, more like an operation game, where you have a unit which is Firewall. This basically Spectre-esque unit. Everybody's an all-star. You come together to fight this bigger threat, which in this case is controlling all this alien technology and sentient AI shit. But in the game, you're basically a James Bond type of character, from what I can gather, in a sci-fi setting. So you go out as a unit, you perform these crazy tasks, like in the game we played, which was out of the can, it was a adventure made for quick play, I think. We went onto a barge, ended up dealing with some alien technology, got into a fight with two neo-hominids, which are gigantic apes with semi-intelligence that can wield energy weapons. We're fucking messing with the ship's gravity, fighting mercenaries. It felt like a general sci-fi game, only really high octane. The way you could interact with the environment and the stuff in it was really, really cool.
So, do you like the idea that you can have multiple avatars or whatever?
It fucks with your idea of your character, because each morph changes your skills. So it's very comparable to Palladium, the way the skills work. You have a percentile value, you roll under your percentile to get a success.
Right.
Now there's a ton of different skills, so many in this fucking game. You usually don't even have the basic competency in most skills. That's how many skills there are. So you're very specialized depending on the body you have. Now you could have a body that's, say, in my case, a splicer morph, that's very focused on the information technology side of things. I'm good at hacking the mesh, which is basically like the Matrix and Shadowrun. I can gather information. I can reprogram different hubs and different series of protocols to do things I want. Now, if I die and I get put into a different body, the second mesh that I have for this game, I'm more combat oriented. I actually lose most of my technical abilities. So that can be really weird from a character, because you're not are readily able to identify with your skills. They're like less integral to actually who you are in the game.
It's almost like Matrix, where you can just plug in and you learn whatever you want.
Yeah, like load the jump program. That's basically what it is.
So it's almost like your skills don't make you who you are, whereas as people, in real life, your skills kind of do, in some ways, make you who you are. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying.
They inform your psychology, and that's one of the big points of the game with the transhumanism. We've transcended what it means to be human. How do you identify as a person when you're changing? Right now, I'm in the body of what resembles a human. I die and I come back, and now I'm in the body of a gigantic mechanical spider, which actually happened in our game. That's one of the quick start characters you get re-slipped into. Chepe's character actually came back as a gigantic, tank artillery mechanical spider.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's a crazy game.
See, it sounds fun, and it sounds fine, I think, in my opinion, for a one-shot. I don't think that it's not the kind of genre I would enjoy, I think. For instance, you asked me the other day, how come you don't play Eclipse Phase or whatever? It's just not my thing, you know? I mean, I love action movies, and if the game's played like an action movie, yeah, that'd be awesome. But I don't know. It sounds too much to me, I guess.
So here's where I think the game would suffer. I think it would suffer in the same way like a Firefly or what would be another example? We'll just go with Firefly because that's a real easy one.
Mm-hmm.
In Firefly, what can happen is you can get into this rut, kind of like the same rut you can get into in D&D, where you get into really lengthy combats.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference being when your weapon is a gun, there's not a lot of ways you can RP buckling down behind a canister and rolling around to shoot every turn.
Yeah, ranged weapons are a little more difficult with combat.
And there are ways to spice it up, but when you have really lengthy combats and you do it over and over and over, it starts to wear on you. Mm-hmm. This game is way, way, way slower than Cortex or Cortex Plus. It's actually, in my opinion, slower than Palladium. Mm-hmm. So we're talking you really could get into combat in this game that lasts hour and a half, 2 hours. And if you're the type of character where your role is you're good at shooting a gun, and the lethality is so high you have to go and seek cover, it's not like you can run around and do real crazy stuff because you risk dying really easily. You're going to just buckle down and just do the same thing every turn, most likely.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a total knock on the game because players and DMs can alleviate that, but, it is what it is.
I know exactly what you're talking about because when I play a ranger or a ranged fighter in general using a bow and arrow, it gets old really quick. Okay, I sling an arrow. There's only so many ways you can shoot an arrow.
Right.
And it's most of the time not very entertaining to hear someone describe it. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's how I know Peter Jackson played Dungeons and Dragons. Because everybody always gets mad at Peter Jackson, right? Like, why'd you make Legolas so crazy? Because that dude was fucking sick of watching a ranger fire a fucking bow. He was like, I'm going to make this character do stuff, even though he's a ranged character. Come at me, bro.
Right.
That people don't know that. That's actually a Peter Jackson quote. Come at me, bro. Peter Jackson.
Speaking of which, I'm actually going to see the movie tomorrow, and I am really excited about it.
Oh, nice. I actually saw it opening day.
Did you? Do you like it?
Yeah, I liked it.
Does it flow into the Lord of the Rings okay? Without giving away anything, I mean.
Yeah, it does a good enough job.
Yeah. Okay.
I decided from the outset I was going to be very gentle with my review of The Hobbit. Because when Lord of the Rings came out, I was really, really nitpicky. It was like when I was, I don't know.
It's not like the book.
Yeah, 14 or 15. Like, my glass is steaming up as I'm pushing him up to my face. Like, oh, what do you mean Haldir dies? He wasn't even there! Yeah, you know, it's really easy to nitpick that shit. And I was like, I'm not going to do that with The Hobbit. What I care about with The Hobbit was, did Peter Jackson get it right in spirit? Like, is the spirit of the Hobbit, does it feel like The Hobbit? Whether or not the minutia's right, does it actually feel like The Hobbit? And I think it does. I don't think it was perfect, but I think it was a really good series altogether.
Right. Good. Very good. So, okay. With that, well, I'll probably just put in an advertisement here, which I still have only received one, and that was for Ham and Opie. So his advertisement will go in right here.
Art, map making, world building, game theory, one-shots, races, cartography, coding, chaos, Himanoki. From the College of Lore, it's the Bard with no boundaries. Subscribe today. Himanoki.
Yeah. So anyways, the other day we were talking, and I had said I was a little irritated online because of something that came up online. And it was, I want to say it was somebody talking about, it was in the D&DNext Facebook group. And somebody asked what was the weakest character build in 5th edition. Which, you know, it's a very straightforward question. He just wanted to know mechanically what is the weakest character in 5th edition. Player characters. Simple enough, right? Didn't take but maybe 2 comments until people started saying, well, it doesn't matter if you have a good story, blah, 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 right? Which then got into, oh, there's only one way to play role-playing games, and it's the immersive style, and the best characters have a weakness, and all this. And then Dungeon Master Johnny went and did a video talking about stuff like this, or at least a small excerpt of his video mentioned it, after you and I had talked about this, I believe. But you know, and a lot of people who watch my channel know, I get so annoyed by, one, the immersive style role-playing or whatever type of game you want to call it. We're all doing the same thing, we're just doing it differently. Immersive style is a retarded term, and I don't mean to use the word retarded in a negative context, but it is a term that is annoying. That's all. I can't even explain how frustrated I get hearing people say, oh, well, you need to play an immersive style game. Or, like, for instance, Theater of the Mind magazine had a whole, like, the whole first magazine was about immersive style games and how all the people who wrote in it were immersive style. I understand what some people are trying to say. Yes, we RP a lot. But it gives off this elitist vibe that I think is just trash. And I feel like you agree with me on this. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But do you care to weigh in on your thoughts on this?
Usually what somebody means when they say they're immersive is they don't agree with the way you're playing your character.
Right.
That's what they mean. I mean, they can skirt around it and call it whatever they want, but it's usually when they're sitting there having a good time in their bathrobe with their scotch, Shakespeareing up their character, and you do something that they see wildly out of line with their version of reality, so they say you're not being immersive. Yeah, it comes from a place of egotism. The whole idea does. And I don't like it.
So here's my question for you then. When somebody goes into a thread like that, right? They post the thread as, hey guys, I want to know mechanically what is a strong character and what is a weak character. Why the hell do these immersive people come out of the woodwork to say, who cares? Let's just focus on the immersive part. I don't understand why they come out of the woodwork when someone's asking about an optimum or a suboptimum build.
Oh, it's a hard question. I mean, general rudeness. Like, I think it's a personality problem rather than a style problem.
It's a
It's
people
like,
problem.
yeah, it's like sticking your nose in where it doesn't belong just to derail something.
Right.
That's basically what it really comes down to. Because in my opinion, if what immersion really isn't the way people tend to use it. People have like tried to equate it with a certain caliber of acting or being in character, blah blah blah. To me, immersion is just getting really deep into whatever you're doing. That could be the setting, it can be the combat, it can be whatever. I see no problem with that, but I also don't see a problem with the opposite. I think where people get going on like the forums and stuff, it's because they see other people talking about something they don't like, so they just try to derail it so they don't have to deal with it. Where they should just scroll down and go read something else.
Right, let it fall off the page kind of thing.
Yeah.
I agree, because it's like, okay, I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it again. Metaphor time. I'm a huge sports fan, so I get really immersed in a football game. Like, that's all that matters to me when my football team is playing. Like, I just get so absorbed with it, right? You take me to a ballet, I'm not going to get immersed in it. You know what I mean? It's just not something I'm into. You know what I mean? So with an RPG, it's like the same thing. Whether somebody is role-playing a lot or not, that doesn't mean they're being immersive for the table. You know, it might lend its way for that. And another thing that always seems to come up with this that drives me nuts is a lot of these people who quote unquote are the immersive role players say, oh, a good character has weaknesses because there's usually a good backstory to it and all this. And it's like, you could have the most kick-ass character in the game and have a sweet backstory for it. You know, I mean, if you're a good writer and you're a creative person in general, you can write a backstory about anything and make it sound good on paper. So regardless of the build, you know, whether your character is maxed out with straight 30s for every attribute and skill, you know, or, you know, straight 6s. I don't know.
Well, they're right. You remember when they rolled up Hercules and gave him a 4 intelligence? oh wait, yeah, that didn't happen. What about that time Leonidas had a 12 wisdom or 10 wisdom? Oh yeah, wait, that didn't happen either.
Yeah, what's his flaw? I'm very curious what his flaw is. That he's too loyal or something? I don't understand. But and he was sweet. The movie 300 was a sweet movie. I'm just saying.
The problem for me with that is they're trying to impose something that's extra to the mechanics onto the mechanics. I mean, look, I can have a character that's 18 straight down the line in every fucking stat, and still give him a weakness. I can make him a womanizer. I can make him an alcoholic. I can give him a weakness that is not tied into the actual mechanics of the game, and when I play that character, he can still be interesting as hell. Has absolutely nothing to do with feats, has absolutely nothing to do with spells or any of that stuff.
Right.
It's just the spin you put on them. So why are they trying to force it on the mechanics? Because they don't want you to talk about mechanics. It's as simple as that. They're just trying to butt in and impose a stupid conversation you don't want to be a part of on you.
Right. Well, it goes. Here's another thing. When Posey was talking about how we were mentioning feats last time on the podcast, and so we were all talking about how you could figure out if feats are game breaking or whatever. And somehow, out of this discussion, people started talking about, oh, well, you got to work it into the backstory and da 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 da, and that has nothing to do with anything we were talking about. And you know, the person who did it, I like him. I have no problem with him. And maybe he didn't understand. In fact, I know, based on the context of when it was brought up, he didn't understand where the original conversation came from. But yeah, it was just one of those things. It's like, I feel like people are quick to say, well, you need to have a backstory for it. And frankly, I mean, I don't even write backstories about my characters usually. My backstory, for instance, with 5th edition is in that top right corner in those few boxes you get, and then I might add a sentence for each one on the second page in the history section. Because I don't like to sit there and write a lot about a character. I usually like to see, like, I'll use the stuff that's on the paper, and I'll come up with some other, like, bullet points about them, and then see what they become in-game. And because a lot of times after the first session, I'm not always completely into the character. And I've written full backstories about characters before, and then when I got into the game, realized I did not like role-playing it that way. It's like, oh, this character just sucks. Like, I did that Gnome Paladin a while back, or Gnome Fighter or something. I don't remember. In Dave's game, I just wasn't feeling the character.
Maze of Mandoon.
Yeah, I hated that character. The game was cool.
He was really funny though. Like the whole concept of you were going to chart everything and like release a monster manual.
Right. Right. That character was a bucket list character of mine. It's a character I have thought about in the past. It's a character that I had a small backstory for. And then when I got into the game, I was like, no, this doesn't work. It's not what I like. I wasn't feeling it. So I just threw it out the window and started doing what I wanted to with it, and it became more fun. And then the monster manual thing was hilarious.
I'll tell like one of my like little secrets that I've kind of like developed into with some of my characters. Sometimes when I'm really lazy and I don't want to do a backstory, I kind of just want to roll quick with what I make. I'll give my character some kind of item, some kind of memento, and then just make up a story about the item as I play the character and fill everything in based on the item. Like, with my monk for City of Glass, I gave him a jar of storm. For the first game I ever played, like on the Outcast game with my Theophrastus, I gave him 3 sealed scrolls. I think the actual player's handbook, actually facilitates this pretty well, because they even give you a table of random trinkets.
Yes.
Okay, I roll on the random trinket table, says that I get a mummy hand. Well, why the fuck does my character have like this putrefied mummy hand dangling on a chain around his neck? Oh, it was because he raided some crypt looking for some artifact. He ended up getting cursed. Oh, now I can riff off of that, and I already have a backstory based on an item.
Yep.
If you just do anything, it doesn't even fucking matter what it is. If you even have a concept going into the first game of what you might do with the character, then you're perfectly fine.
I agree.
Having like the lengthy backstories, or even like I don't even know, player character history. Blah. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Sometimes I will do a bigger story, but I never do over a page. If I do a backstory over a page, shoot me.
Yeah, it's been probably 5 years since I've written a backstory more than a page. And every character I ever wrote more than a page about, I hated playing. Hated them. They were not fun. I don't know. I think it's because I tried to develop them without actually trying to play as them. And I think a lot of good stuff happens when you're playing as that character, especially early on. Like if you're rolling poorly, okay, this character is clumsy as hell. Maybe their stats don't reflect it, but damn it, everything that's happened to them, they are now clumsy, And then it's fun to play them up as clumsy. And then when they do something really good that's not clumsy, it's like, oh, I finally did something right, I don't know. I feel like a lot of good character backstory stuff happens in-game that you can port over to it. Or like you just said, D&D facilitates it with like the trinket table. You can do it in-game too. Your first little mission, you pick up a goblin sword or something, or whatever. Something that's really not that valuable, and now boom, you basically created your own little trinket.
Right.
So I don't know, but I guess when it comes down to it, I wish people would quit talking about there's one way to play a game, and you should boot people out of your game if they're not, super into their character backstory, and if they won't answer all these questions before a game, or this or that. They're not good player. Like, a good player has nothing to do with somebody who's going to sit there and fill out a 30-page questionnaire before a game. You know? Like, I'm not going to fill out your questionnaires, and I don't think I'm a terrible player. So, get that crap out of here.
You know, that's why I really like a guy like Rob Davis. I saw he's in the one-shot group now.
Oh, is he? I didn't notice.
Yeah, which is awesome. Like, Rob does... I've seen him play a bunch of different games through the brigade, with people on the brigade and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he has, like, a really certain style of game he plays. He's definitely more of, like, an immersive style player. Something like an Andrew Wood type of character.
You mean he's a fictional style player that doesn't exist? I'm just kidding.
the legendary immersive player. But I've watched him like communicate with people in the consortium and over the brigade and stuff. And you know, if you play a different style, Rob Davis is just like, cool, just not for me. Right. That's the attitude that these people need to develop. Like, every game is not for you. Sorry, some games are especially not for you. So if you don't like what people are talking about in their thread when they're talking about developing these games, just don't comment. Find a game that you actually want to play, a style that you actually like, and play in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Easy peasy.
100%. See, and I like playing with, you know, guys like you and Posey and AJ Pickett and, you know, the people that try to put more into their characters. I like playing with you guys because I feel like, one, I learn stuff watching you guys sometimes, you know, and it could be something little, like, I mean, for example, as much as a player it drove me nuts in that game, Posey taking the horse throughout the whole thing and making it this thing he held on a pedestal drove me nuts as a player because I was like, this is ridiculous. It was funny, and in hindsight, it was great because now we have all these great stories. But, like, you know, taking that away from it, right? Forget that it's a horse. That could have been, like, somebody in their sword, or, you know what I mean? You can apply the same thing to something else, you know? And Posey, you crack me up, dude. He gets very into the RP. Like, I look at Ignacio in the eyes, and I feel this sense of dread, or whatever the heck he says. You know what I'm saying? but it's like, okay, I think I can learn something from that. And I'm a minimalist. I try not to give tons of huge descriptions with things. I try to leave a lot up to your imagination. And you know, in the games I've ran for you, you'll sometimes say, am I close enough to do this? Sure. You know, like, instead of getting caught up with the details, yes, you are. And so instead of me having to do this long, drawn-out explanation of where everything is, you know, I kind of leave it sometimes up to the players to determine it. And, you know, you might ask me a question, and I say yes. And then you get to do something cool with it. I kind of sidetracked a little, but the thing I can say that I can learn from something like that is every now and then I like to give a good description. And by being in games with you guys and hearing some of your guys' descriptions and things like that, I think it makes me better. It's not always my style game, and so that's why a lot of times I have stayed out of certain games. But yeah, I definitely can take something from those games. And I do enjoy them, you know, most of the time. I haven't hated any games, I think, that I've played in, so that's good.
That's a funny point you brought up about with the GMing, just kind of like rolling with it, not getting too caught up with the minutia.
Yeah.
Like, when I DM, if I had to put myself into a category as a DM, I am the schemer, the scheming DM. The way the scheming DM works is you constantly act like you're going to destroy the players, and then you go easy on the players, and the players do like Harlem Globetrotter tricks on you. But it's great. There's a great, like, psychological thing happening here, because you're like the old school GM in that you set yourself up against the players.
Right.
But you're the new school GM in the fact that then you let the players do whatever they want.
Right.
So they feel like $1 million when they out scheme you.
That's funny. My family group that I run 5e for, I think that they truly feel I'm out to get them.
Excellent.
Oh
Excellent.
yeah, it's fantastic. I'll roll a d20, and if I hit a nat 20, I get excited about it. I mean, I get excited about it anyway, just because I rolled a crit, but it's just natural for me. But when we sit down to play, I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna kill you guys tonight, and I think I made things too hard for you, and we'll see though. I just always am like that, and it's funny because then in games sometimes. For instance, at D&D Encounters, people like suck up to me so bad, and I'm like, what? I'm sitting here thinking, stop sucking up to me. They're like calling me the oh so generous DM and like all sorts of things like that, and I'm like, quit, just shut up. Like, and I drop them all the time. But that's kobolds for you. Pack tactics from Court of the Dragon Queen.
Fucking perspective. Like for one group, you tell them yes to everything, and then they ask you to do one thing that's ridiculous. Like, oh, can I warp 50 feet into the air and kill that dragon with one swing of my sword? No. Oh, what the fuck? DM out to get me. And then you go to like this other group, and you're like, telling them no to everything, and then you'll be like yes to one thing, and they're like, oh. That's really kind. Like, whoa, I didn't expect that.
I think I'm pretty consistent. I don't think I'm like that.
It's just how the people view it. Like to some people, deviating from the rules and giving them a benefit, even like a little grain of a benefit, is like crazy. They're like, whoa, GM is so generous.
That's what I've seen. Like at Encounters, something would happen, right? Say somebody's dropped, right, to 0 hit points, and combat ends right then. So I'm like, oh yeah, you're fine. Like you can get back up. Somebody here brought you back up. Like I'm not gonna sit there and make everyone do the rolls and crap like that. Or okay, well, I get over to especially when you're on a time crunch with Encounters. Like no, screw that. You're good. Like let's go. Let's move on. Let's get this show on the road. But so I've had that happen once, and the person was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, you have a frickin' druid right here that has all of his spell slots. You're good. Like, you're back up. Don't worry about it. Because obviously the druid's like, oh yeah, I heal him. Yeah, I kind of figured you would. He's not going to run around with 1 hit point. So, but yeah, just crazy stuff like that. It's so funny to me. And, but yeah, like, so the family group thinks I'm really generous. And, so after one game, or in the middle of one game, they were like, the one girl in the group was like, oh, well, how did he get out that back door? I said, there was a secret door there. She's like, I want to see the map after the game. I said, I'll show you the map right now. I showed her. Like, first of all, say it wasn't on the map. I don't give a damn. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. Like,
yeah,
who are you to question me?
I don't think she understands how D&D works. Like, do that at some tables, and you'll never be invited back again. Like, it's a good thing we're fucking normal people and find it hilarious.
Right. Oh, I was just floored that they would she would question me like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? No.
Oh, I just rolled. He got an 18. Looks like he's gonna hit you. Yo, DM, pull down your screen so I can take a look at your dice.
I don't believe it. Well, good. You're dead.
Poison dart strikes you in the neck.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Oh, so the self-stats thing, this is kind of funny. So Posey posted about the self-stats thing. And you and I think, tried to make it realistic. And, like, looking through what half the people have put for themselves, either they have different scales of what is good, great, and amazing than us, or they think awfully highly of themselves.
Yeah, I'm not going to call anybody individually out, but me and Posey were talking over Facebook Messenger, and he was like, did you see some of the way these guys are answering these? And I was like, yeah, man. Delusion is strong with role players. I was like, what, man? You have an 18 strength and an 18 wisdom and an 18 int? What are you doing on the internet, bro?
Well, it's not even that. It's that, okay, I think the problem is that they don't understand the scale. They're thinking, I don't know what the hell they're thinking. I'm not even going to try to speculate that. But let's use 5th edition as the example. 20 is the highest stat a human can get, no matter what, correct? So the highest strength being 20, that means you have to take the strongest man in the world, and he's a 20. Right?
Right.
You know, so then same thing goes for intelligence, dex, wisdom, charisma, all of that stuff. So charisma, you're probably going to take a super celebrity as a 20. Maybe somebody who's been like Bill Clinton. Wasn't he supposedly extremely charismatic? Probably more
like a Kennedy or something.
Yeah, somebody right there. Boom, 20. You know, hands down 20. Or The Rock. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I mean, he's pretty charismatic. Put him at a 20. Intelligence. I mean, you're talking geniuses. You know, probably socially awkward, but geniuses at 20 intelligence.
Right.
Wisdom, I wouldn't even know where to start with that.
Like really high level religious leaders, like some philosophers.
Yeah, I really can't even. Maybe the Pope. I don't know, because I wouldn't say he's really that wise. He's just, I don't know. Maybe he is.
Yeah, I could name some Buddhists, but I'm not going to because no one's going to know who they are anyways.
Yeah.
But the point being, if you have a 20 wisdom, you're either super instinctual to the point where you're like, I don't even know of an animal though that would have 20 wisdom.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, you just it's enlightenment. If you have a 20 wisdom, you're enlightened.
Right.
Like you know the way the world works. Like you are one with nature, whatever belief system you have, and want to incorporate that into.
Right. Yeah. So then, all right. So just using intelligence, I would say somebody who is a high school grad level intelligence would probably be a 9. Right? I think that's a good number for somebody who graduated high school, maybe took some college courses, but wasn't that intelligent. Like, you know, they know stuff, but they're not a genius or anything. And then I would say somebody who's probably got a bachelor's degree of some sort. I mean, you probably can go and obviously there's other factors that would have to go into it as well, not just what level you finished in school, but you know, so somebody with like a bachelor's degree probably would range from like a 10 to a 13, maybe. I mean, I could be wrong on that too. And then a doctorate or something higher than a bachelor's or a master's might be up to a 15. You know, just based on that. So that would be like base numbers. And then you obviously take the other things that they're smart about and intelligent about and add it on top of it. But yeah, I mean, when you start hitting like 16 and 17 and anything, you're talking about you are cream of the crop, top 100 in the world, maybe, in whatever you're talking about.
Well, okay, let me tell you this. This is from my own experience, not dealing with people like in these communities, just dealing with people in general.
Yes.
There's 2 things every stranger will try to tell you if you talk to them long enough. The first thing is they'll try to tell you that their psychological profile is that they're an int J. Like they're a misunderstood genius. The second thing they'll try to tell you is that they have an IQ that's like 160 or 170 and they should be a member of Mensa. Like everybody thinks this about themselves. Everybody thinks they're a misunderstood genius with a super high IQ.
Really?
Yeah, if they actually took a second to think this out, they would realize, oh, actually, most people can't even be above average intelligence because of the way a statistical average works. So it's really unlikely I'm that smart. But, like these people I saw like answering Posey's stat yourself thing, there are people on there saying like, I have a 187 IQ. I took an IQ test in college and I should be in Mensa. Like people that say stuff like that, one, a really quick way to disqualify yourself from looking intelligent is to tell me you have a 187 IQ. I mean, it's instantly when I hear that, I'm going to say, nope, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to be real in this podcast. That's what comes to my head. Because if you had a 187 IQ, why are you going around trying to flex your EP nuts on the internet?
I have no idea. I don't think I gave myself a score higher than 10. when I did it.
I'm not fucking delusional. I think I have an average intelligence. I'm gonna call an average score of intelligence like a 9 to 11. Somewhere in there is an average.
I'd say you're on the high end of average, definitely. Maybe slightly above.
I'm knowledgeable about certain things, but it wasn't because of my intelligence. It was just like ramming my head into the wall over and over until I forced myself to learn. That's the beauty about the real world, is intelligence doesn't necessarily mean better. You can have gifts and squander them, which a lot of people actually do. And the way you actually overtake people with gifts in the real world is you have dedication and you keep at it.
Yeah, you work hard at it.
So at the end of the day, the guy with the higher intelligence might not know as much as you because he squandered his gift. So
you're talking about natural intelligence. However, I think for statistical purposes, it can't be a natural intelligence. Just like strength can't be natural strength. Because you can work on it and it'll go up. Just like you can work on book smarts and they'll go up.
Well, IQ, here's the problem with it. IQ can actually change. It can't change a lot. And in like older editions of D&D, I even think you can times your int by 10 and get your IQ. I might be wrong about that because I can't remember which book it's in.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a tricky concept to me in D&D because you have things that we normally would attribute partially to intelligence that are separate from the stat. For instance, every single skill, even if it's outside of intelligence, would be governed by intelligence. Intelligence is like a meta stat. So even if I have a stat, say in Dex, we'll say sleight of hand, my intelligence would still modify my sleight of hand, and the fact that I'm skilled in it would have something to do with my int. But we make a division there. We say that the knowledge of sleight of hand is somehow different from my intelligence stat. That division to me makes it seem like knowledge is something different than your ability to acquire it. Like they've drawn a line there in D&D. How it functions, I've got no fucking clue.
So it's almost like intelligence in the context of statting yourself. And I got a 187 and should be in Mensa and all this is more like certain skills.
It's like, here's the way
I have the history knowledge, and I have this, all these different things, and geometry and geography. So those would all be skills. And that's stuff that you get scored on, not your actual intelligence, per se.
Well, it's like with IQ tests, what they do is they test your ability to process info. They like try to get in there and fiddle around with your ability to, kind of like a computer, like how fast is your computer? That's like what they fucking do with an IQ test. So a guy that says he has 187 IQ is saying, my mind's a fucking beast, and it can rip through information, and it can do all this stuff. It can do all these tasks simultaneously. It can complete this difficult of a task in this much time. But what intelligence doesn't account for necessarily is the person controlling the psychology controlling the hardware. I mean, we would go down a rabbit hole getting into it in any sort of detail, but
right.
Yeah, that to me, it gets complicated in D&D though, because people have different definitions of what intelligence means. When we talk about intelligence, is it literally the hardware? Like, are we just talking about in pure attribute kind of way? Like, is your intelligence just your ability to process information quickly? Is it the quality of your intellectual hardware? Or does it take into account, like, knowledge, for instance? It seems unclear to me, because in some ways it does. For instance, if you have a really high int, you get a higher bonus to religion. The religions are the history skill or whatever. Like, why is that? When you don't get the same bonus to, like, Dex or anything else. For balance purposes, probably.
Yeah. From a mechanical game standpoint, yeah. Interesting. Well, there you go. We get pretty deep here on our RPG talk. What were you talking about the other day? It was like we play Dungeons and Dragons, but most of the time we don't have dungeons or dragons in it. Wasn't that something you said the other day? Like,
Yeah, like I just want to change the name of it to Places and Monsters.
Setting and monsters. Or settings and encounters.
Yeah, because like
That's
how
funny.
often in modern D&D do you actually encounter a dragon?
Oh
Unless you're doing
gosh.
Horde of the Dragon Queen.
Every encounter.
Like I can't remember the last time I did a custom adventure and put a dragon in it.
Right.
Most of it's out of respect to dragons, because in my mind, dragons are like more of the Tolkien-esque style dragons,
Yeah.
where a dragon is like super hyper intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
When you meet a dragon, you're dealing with something legendary. They're beyond you yourself, so
Right.
they shouldn't be common.
Even if they're not more intelligent than you, they should be, in my view, the end boss. Like they should be something you only encounter to end the campaign almost, because they should be almost unstoppable.
Yeah, it's just I like that feeling of it being like the wise old worm, uh, some like scheming intellectual creature, rather than like like, oh look, it's a dragon, it's gonna breathe fire on me, we'll kill it.
Have you ever thrown a dragon at your players?
Yes, it was more of the wise intellectual dragon.
So did he talk to the players for a while?
Yeah,
Monologue?
I told you a little bit about it. He actually tried to convince the players to betray their employer. The way I had it set up, which I thought was a really cool idea. I based this off of a whole bunch of different shit, so I won't get into that context. But there was like a clan of ogres that were dragon slayers. Like
Okay.
they were going around Forgotten Realms as a clan and killing dragons. That's what their clan does.
Hmm.
And they hired the party to help them track down a wounded gold drake into this forest. The party ends up finding the dragon, and the dragon basically flips them. Like tries to get him to turn on the ogres and help the dragon instead. Then this is just like making everything very simple as far as the story was concerned.
Right.
Um, they were in like a moral quandary trying to figure out what to do when one of the ogres that had hired them finds out that the party had killed their son. Their like half ogre son. So it ended up turning out, like they were forced to side with the gold dragon because of what they had done the game earlier. But it was supposed to be like this really like hard nail biter decision where they're like, oh, do I side with like the good aligned dragon, or do I align with these ogres who have been helping me out but seem to have a little bit more nefarious sort of goal?
Right. Huh. Yeah, see, I don't know. First of all, I haven't really thrown dragons at players. I've done it for Horde of the Dragon Queen with encounters. But I haven't done it in my at-home games. Um, I don't know how I would tackle it really. I haven't put a lot of thought into it because like I was saying a minute ago, I almost feel like dragons should be end bosses. I mean, they should be things that you build up to over the course of multiple sessions. Um,
Well, for one, like if I show a dragon, 90% of the time they're going to be shapeshifted in a human form. I
right,
simply don't have dragons like rolling around in the wild as these big hulking monstrosities.
right. Yeah, I did have a drake. I have a blue Pathfinder drake that doesn't have arms, just has the wings. So I guess it's a wyvern. I don't know, whatever. But I called it a drake, and I had the players in my D&D group that always plays at my house encounter it last time, and they loved it. My wife was telling me afterwards how it seemed like everyone was really excited. I was like, sweet, I'm glad. It was kind of tough. I didn't make it too bad, but yeah, it made me think, man, I should probably think about using some dragons. And then I was like, oh, I could throw Horde of the Dragon Queen at the other group my wife plays in. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to use them more, and I don't know if I'm going to play that intelligence angle where they can also morph into humans, because I don't think they need to be deadly and to be, the cream of the crop. Obviously, that helps and puts a different spin on them, because then you can use them in political intrigue and all sorts of other things. Well, yeah, I don't know.
I like dragons almost being like they're not quite demigods, but they're somewhere closer to the god scale than the mortal scale.
Right. Yeah, because they're so ancient and smart, and they've been around for hundreds, if not thousands, of years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what I end up doing.
But I mean, we know for a fact that I'm more apt to use a Hydra than a dragon.
Your Rust Monster Hydra?
Yeah.
Which is undead zombie Rust Monster Hydra?
That's going to happen. You guys won't know when. You won't know how. You're going to be playing in a game on here, and the Rust Monster Hydra Demi-Lich is going to show up.
Speaking of which, if you are a player in any of my campaigns, do not listen to the rest of this podcast at all, whatsoever. And that's for early 2015. If you've come onto this and it's late 2015 or 2016, whatever, go ahead and listen to it. But anyways, I want to screw over one of my players really bad. This goes to the family group that the fighter that was complaining about never getting any cool magic items for himself. I want to give them a magic longsword that's got a bone for a handle and then like a bone for the hilt, you know, something like that with, I don't know, bones along the blade or something. Anyways, giving the vibe that it's a bad sword, right? So when they do the detect magic and all that, they'll find out, oh, we can't die if we have this sword. Okay. Is it cursed? No, it's not cursed. Okay, cool. Boom. So he uses it, he hits 0 hit points, and he is undead now. So now that he's undead, I'm thinking, okay, your dex is halved, your intelligence should be halved, your wisdom, you know, charisma, all this stuff should be halved. Sure, constitution can be strong, but now, once you die in zombie form, it's final. Or maybe add something to it like, oh, okay, so now that you're undead, you know, you have a % chance that you might fight your party members or whatever. I don't know how to handle it yet, but I was thinking of doing something like that.
What if you use it as some kind of plot tool, and once he turns undead, he becomes bound to like some stronger undead being, like a lich or something, and he feels its pull.
Oh yeah, almost like The Ring.
Right, yeah, like
you to Sauron or whatever.
Like he dies and instantly he's enslaved under this lich lord and is like compelled to like go seek him out and do his bidding.
That would be awesome.
And the party will be like, "What the fuck?
Why is he turning around and leaving us?" See, I was thinking of doing this and then having this necromancer that they just faced, that be his purpose. Like he's wanting to find this sword because he's a necromancer. It just seems natural to me that he would want this sword of the undead. You know, and yeah, I don't know. And I think the idea, because of the way the cleric plays her character, she would have a huge problem with it morally in game. And be like, well, we need to destroy it because it's obviously evil because it's made of bones. Because that's just the kind of thing she does. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be so funny.
Oh, shit.
And as soon as he dies, I'd be like, okay, roll up a new character. Give me that character sheet. Your guy turns to a zombie. He's not dead. He's still undead.
It just gave me like the greatest idea to punish the motherfucker. When he turns into the zombie, make it so him crossing over into the undead like puts him on the edge between both worlds, like the normal world and the Shadowfell. So like the party can see him and he can see the party and interact with the normal world, but he also sees a bunch of other ghosts and spirits and undead shit that the rest of the party can't see or interact with.
Like when he's holding the sword?
When it turns him into the you could do it when he holds the sword, but I would make him wait until he turns undead, and then make him turning undead, like open him up to all this other abuse from shit that the party doesn't have to deal with. So like the party goes to town, they go to sleep, he tries to sleep, but spirits agitate him and attack him all night. Like the party climbs up a mountain. He's trying to climb it, but like hands come out and keep trying to pull him down.
Oh, you know, I could do that. So maybe I don't even mess with his stats too much at all. But then stuff like that'll screw him up all the time. That would be fun.
Yeah, and he'd think it. I bet he would even think it was cool. Like he'd be like, "Oh my god, my character's a badass. Like I'm half in of hell and half out, baby."
Right. Yeah. No, that would be awesome. Yeah. I think that would be what he would like. I did a white elephant for my one group last time, and because I made a list of 76 magic items. And I just put the items. I cut all these sheets of paper out and put them on the table, and had all these items. And I'll explain quickly what people had. I don't think we talked about it on the last episode, but one of the players ended up with bracers, like metal bracers, and so afterwards, once he ended up with that, I read this description to him: bracers of inconsolable weeping. Provides outstanding protection, but user slowly succumbs to despair until collapsing into basically into the fetal position, crying. Then another player ended up with a dagger, kind of, a toothy segment of dragon jawbone with sculpted hand grip. And so then what that does is it enchants. It's enchanted, and it emits a terrifying roar, like a dragon, when wielded in battle. And then it gives them a combat bonus against mammals. Another player ended up with a wooden miniature kit, like basically carved miniatures of the whole party. And I don't know what those are exactly going to do yet. I was thinking either they could be planted somewhere, and then, like, if the character dies, these can be planted somewhere, and then the player will come back to life where that was buried. So I was thinking something like that, maybe. But I don't know yet.
Nice.
Oh, okay, so here's another one. A stone dragon. And that's what it was. And so what it does is it repels dragons. Dragons must, which is when we use the Drake, they must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or flee immediately. And then the other thing was a sword that's like an icicle. It's called the Frost Brother Short Sword. It deals 1d4 cold damage on a critical hit, but the wielder will take double fire damage when hit with fire. So I thought that was kind of cool. But there were some good ones in here, too. Like, I have, my wife was saying that when she was looking through the items, she's like, I want to know what it does. And I was like, I can't tell you what it does because we're doing this again with the other group. But one of them was a stick of butter. I don't remember which number.
Doesn't make your food delicious.
No. You can. I'm trying to remember, but I think you can lather it on. And it basically makes you have a higher armor class when you're unarmored or something like that. I'm trying to look. Oh, it's called Berserker's Butter. Slathered on before combat acts as... I'm not even going to try and say the word. But it allows the subject to fight 3 rounds after death. So
you're basically like a greased up pig.
Yeah. Gill wax, stuffed in nostrils, temporarily allows water breathing. Oil of command, temporarily improves charisma and smells awesome. Old-fashioned exercise ointment, loosens muscles for temporary dexterity bonus. Reeks offensively and burns like hell. So it's like the Old Spice, or not Old Spice, that stuff that you can put on that stinks and burns. Icy hot. There you go. Yeah, there's so many cool things on here that I came up with. Oh, a crystal sword. A lot of this I stole from places online, so I shouldn't say I came up with it. But there was a crystal sword that when you use it in battle, it's an auto crit if you actually hit. And it deals max damage, so if somebody drew it who uses a great sword, I'd call it a great sword. So it would do the 2d6 plus the strength modifier maxed out, so I wouldn't even have them roll. And then it shatters on impact. So it's a one-time use.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I liked that a lot. Have you ever come up with stuff like that for your games?
I have stuff with strange effects, nothing like identical to those.
Right.
I had an item in one of my settings. It's actually in the Kadesh setting, even though I don't have it in that document I gave you. It's called the Bane of the Swarm. It's a little pendant that looks like a scarab, and when you shake it, it makes a really high-pitched hissing noise. What it does is it will repel any insect.
Oh.
Like,
I like that.
Yeah, like locusts attack you. It could be basically anything that's insectoid. You shake it, and it's unbearable to their ears. They take off running.
Huh. What's it called again?
I call it the Bane of the Swarm.
That is a cool one.
What else is there that actually it's not the same thing. I have an item though that does something kind of cool that I made for Robert Ogre's upcoming game. This will be the first time I've told anybody about it because the game's not till next week. But he's doing a level 8 5th edition D&D game. And this is the first time I've had the chance to bust out the villainous variant for Paladin. He's letting me go anti-Paladin.
Oh.
So I was like, shit. I gotta come up with some like crazy story for why I'm an anti-Paladin. Basically, I'm trying to resurrect a dead deity by collecting souls. The dead deity has given me a pendant. It looks like a shriveled up black rose head. I wear it around my neck on a chain. And when I kill people with the sword that I have, I hold the pendant out at it, and it makes their corpse blossom over with cadaverous blooms, and their soul gets ripped out and trapped inside of the rose. So the whole idea is when I collect enough souls, the rose will actually open up and blossom, and the dead god will rise out of its husk.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah,
we're going to have to make a document for the website with some of our original things, like the Rust Monster stuff and our magic items that we come up with.
Oh, God. The Rust Monster took on a life of his own. I don't even think I control his IP anymore.
Probably not. What's his name? It's Roll JP or what's his name?
Infinite Role Playing.
Oh yeah, that's his name. I'm getting two channels mixed up. Yes, Infinite Role Playing, the guy who did the 3D graphic of it. He probably owns the IP now.
They were all really good too. Both of his renditions I liked. The first rendition he did where the Rust Monster antennae were on each individual head.
Yes. Was
really awesome. It made the Hydra look tribal. And then the second one he did, where it looked like a Hydra was busting out of the body of a Rust Monster.
See, I haven't seen that one, actually.
Oh, man,
I've only seen the one that almost looked like a peacock.
Yeah, so he gave me a full one that's different now. It looks like the Hydra infected a Rust Monster with its egg, and the head of the Rust Monster got torn asunder, and the Hydra snake heads, serpent heads came out of the mouth of the Rust Monster.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, both of them look really cool.
He does a good job. I was kind of surprised when I first saw that. I was like, wow, someone's sitting here making 3D models of your creature.
Yeah. Well, I was flattered that anybody did anything off of anything I made, because that same week I had somebody do the drawing of Sir Rochester, which was a ridiculous character. He's a fun character, but he's a ridiculous character. And then someone transformed the Rust Monster into the 3D model, which was Infinite Roleplay, which is really cool.
Right.
I'm really thankful for him for doing that, because now I literally have the 3D model of this fucking heinous creation that will be unleashed again in the future.
You should take it to a model shop or a machining shop and see if they'll make a metal miniature of your Rust Monster Hydra.
So, like the peacock head, the Rust Monster peacock head?
Yeah.
I put that on the blog post, when I released my story time video, my Rust Monster story. I posted it around Reddit, and my blog like blew up with views. Like, first, it's fucking stupid. I don't even know like how to explain it. Like I have 7 posts on there. The other 6 posts have between like 20 and 100 views per post.
Right.
And the Rust Monster Hydra post has 3,400.
You know, it's amazing what people click on. You know, I've noticed that too. One, it's like Reddit. Sometimes I'll go through Reddit and I'll see the stuff that's got all the upvotes, and sometimes I just shake my head. I don't understand it. And then sometimes you'll have something in there that it just makes absolutely no sense that anybody would even give it the time of day, yet it's the most popular thing, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or some stuff that should get a bunch of upvotes, it's just sitting there with 1 upvote. And it's like, well, that's actually a pretty good article. I'll be the 2nd upvote.
Yeah, they're fickle. Like, you can bare your soul on Reddit. Like, put everything, every little ounce of knowledge you can squeeze out of yourself into a post, and you'll have, like, 4 likes. And then you can put up, like, a cat meme, like a cat sitting behind a D&D screen being like, "Rocks fall, you all dead, excellent." And they're like, oh, 4,000 likes.
I don't understand it. I'm trying to figure that out a little bit better here in this 2015, because I'm trying to. I told myself I'm not going to promote my stuff everywhere anymore, because I have a feeling it's going to wear thin on some people, and they're going to be like, "Screw this guy." So I'm going to try and be better about it.
Art, map making, world building, game theory, one-shots, races, cartography, coding, chaos, Himanoki. From the College of Lore, it's the Bard with no boundaries. Subscribe today. Himanoki.
So let's talk about the Death Domain Cleric and the Oathbreaker Paladin.
Nice, okay.
I know nothing about them because I will never allow the Death Domain Cleric or Oathbreaker Paladin in my game, because none of my players will have the DM's guide, and I'm not going to give them my DM's guide so they can make their characters.
So I don't know as much about the Death Domain Cleric, because when I saw Oathbreaker Paladin, that's where all my attention went.
Right, because you made that character.
Yeah, I made the anti-paladin. So basically, what you do, you like break your oath, lose your oath, all your divine shit goes away, you lose your levels in paladin, and they get transferred over to anti-paladin, like they basically did in the older editions.
Right.
Once you're an anti-paladin, your guy now does like fucking crazy, offensive, harmful types of attacks. Like you get stuff like inflict wounds, crown of madness, darkness. Like really evil type of shit. You get a channel divinity that lets you fear things. You get a channel divinity that lets you mind control the undead. And when you get to the higher levels, you actually get
Animate dead. Interesting.
Yeah, you actually get a class feature called Dreadlord, which lets you straight up put out a fucking aura that frightens things. Like if they get within your aura, they become horrified.
Interesting. Yeah, the aura reduces any bright light in a 30-foot radius, yada, yada, yada. Wow.
Now, obviously,
you can make shadows attack one creature.
Yeah,
also.
They can lash out and attack a creature. It's like you're controlling the darkness.
That's crazy.
And the best part is, just like with the older editions of D&D, if you have like that watershed moment, a breakthrough moment on your character, you can revert back. You can trade back into paladin levels. Retake up an oath, repent. It can be like an epic quest or something.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So, okay, since I'm looking at this, the Cleric Death Domain has a channel divinity called the Touch of Death, And so when they hit something with a melee attack, they can use Channel Divinity as a bonus action, and it will be 5 plus twice his or her cleric level. So level 10 would be 25 points of damage on top of your regular attack, or level 20 would be 45 points of damage.
It's a lot. It's definitely going to be better than your other bonus action.
Yeah. Obviously, this is for villains, though. That's why it's so high. But obviously, you're going to be using it as a PC in your one game, though.
Right.
For the Oathbreaker. That's amazing, dude. All these things are high damage.
Yeah, they really are. The one thing that I didn't see, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you have the book open, they don't mention your Unholy Steed, do they?
I don't see that.
I don't think they do for Paladin, though, either, do they?
For regular Paladins in the handbook?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think they do. That would probably come in another, like a class supplement or something. But in the older editions of D&D, like mounts are a really big thing for Paladins.
Yeah, at a certain level, you'd get like some kind of a mount, whether it's a Pegasus or... Yeah, I remember seeing that in like 2nd edition.
Right, and if you were a anti-paladin, or an Oathbreaker in this case, or a Death Knight, whatever you want to call it, you would get a Dread Steed, which are fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not in here. I mean, I've read this frickin' Paladin section like a million times. I even know why I'm looking.
I'm sure you have.
It's funny, like if you look at my player's handbook, certain sections of it already have wear. The Paladin section looks like a bear's been pawing through it.
That's hilarious.
Like the bottom of each of the pages has like a slight wave in it. You can see it's got a little bit of tread at the corners of the page. Like I've just been molesting this section of the book.
I can only imagine you curled up with your Paladin section of the book. Laying in bed with a flashlight, reading the Paladin section.
I should go through and memorize all the oaths. Like, know exactly what's in each oath, and then come up with a saying for it and say them like prayers.
What? I have no idea what the hell you just said.
I'm gonna be like, where is it? Let me see. The tenets of vengeance. Faced with a choice of fighting my sworn foes or combating a lesser evil, I choose the greater evil. Ordinary foes might win my mercy, but my sworn enemies do not. My qualms can't get in the way of exterminating my foes. If my foes wreak ruin on the world, it is because I failed to stop them. I must help those harmed by their misdeeds.
Is this just you reading that Paladin Oath or whatever path?
Yeah, that's the Oath of Vengeance. The other oaths aren't quite as cool, in my opinion.
Art, map making, world building, game theory, one-shots, races, cartography, coding, chaos, Himanoki. From the College of Lore, it's the Bard with no boundaries. Subscribe today. Himanoki.
So, Juice, what kind of incense do you burn at your game?
None.
Do you start out with the soft music, or do you keep your hand on the play button and then press it during a dramatic moment? Why you should ditch the mustache twirler, the greatest villain archetype of them all. It's not enough, Juice, that my character swings a sword, but why does he swing it? It's like the Chris Perkins. Please do something cool. Everybody is waiting for you to do something cool.